Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to TradeSetup and live stream for the 30th of March. We're getting towards the end of the month. Well, only about a day off, really, isn't it? So, hope we're all doing well today. We'll go through the usual today. We're going to take a look at the. We'll start off just taking a look at the currencies and seeing how they're going. Take a look at the market. Obviously, that's going along strong. It's pretty much working out to plan. So we'll just touch on that again. The ASX. And I still think, is a good, we've got through that 58, 27 zone, 25, 27, and it's kicking up. So I think the next stop is really up towards the 6,000 mark. And I think we're going to get a bit of reaction off there because it's a major zone, but we'll take a look at that in a second. Then we'll just go through the usual. I haven't got a lot I'm going to touch on today. There's not much, so we'll spend a bit more time just with looking at some stocks and, pretty much anything you want. So we'll go through and just discuss them. And just talk about some of the trades we've got going at the moment. And I think I'm going to do one alert just after this stream, so we'll touch on that. I can't remember what it's on now. It's actually CSR maybe. So anything else you want to discuss, feel free to whack it into the chat. If there's something you want to, something in particular, just put it in there. G'day Nathan, how are you, mate? Hope you're doing well. What we'll do now, so just for anyone that's looking at this for the first time, just remember that you can join us on any of those, what are they called, the links? I can't remember now. But you've got Twitter, top left-hand corner, Facebook, the top right, and then on the bottom right-hand corner, you can just join us in or subscribe to us on YouTube. And that'll pop up every day with, anytime we go live with anything, it should pop up on YouTube and just say they're going live. So it helps out a bit. And our general advice one you can see on the screen there. We don't give specific advice at all, so just read through that when you get a chance. Now, we're just going to change. Obviously, we're going to redo this thing. I've just been noticing on a few different things. We've got the live stream daily, so it's only on 12:30 Monday and Thursday. I'm guessing you all know that, but for anyone new, it's just the 2 days a week. It gives us more than enough time just to go through what's happening and discuss different things. Also today... G'day, Paul. It's a bit same down here. I went for a run earlier this morning and it was dribbling in a bit and it rained overnight, so it's been hell of a windy too down in Melbourne. Up in Queensland, I think they're pretty much the same, aren't they? So, today also, if you want to discuss anything to do with technical analysis, something that might be holding you back a bit or something you're not quite understanding, we go over a few things. Obviously, we go over it quite a lot, but if there's something that's sort of just not quite making sense in the way I look at it or the way, I guess, what you're trying to learn, just let me know. Just whack it in the chat or any questions you may have, because I think it's always good and important. So it's going very well. Yeah, I'll have a look at that too. We got knocked out of one today, which I was kind of expecting. We'll just get into it now. Let me just change over this. Just got to put my little face up in here. There you go. Let's just get rid of that. AJM, we got knocked out of that today. You'll see 14.5. So we had to stop there. This just didn't look good. You watch it. It's actually, the weekly chart doesn't look too bad still. I'll put it down here. It's right down on the dailies. It's getting stretched to the downside and it's still potentially holding a higher low, but I think we've just been knocked out at probably the wrong time. But I think it's been mucked around with some big computer selling. It's always the same type of selling into the close, right smack on just before 4, just to knock it down around 15. So it's actually been kind of annoying me for the last few weeks, doing nothing. I'd rather be out and just looking at something else. What else we got? There's a few of the other alerts. We've got API going great. We're in here around 197 or so. That's kicking on. I think that's going to go straight through 210. The weekly is the strong one, which I really like. You can see that that structure holding high low, especially this most recent one. Let's just get it on the bigger chart, make it a bit nicer. That's what I really like. So you can see that that's pushed up. It's pushed up to 220. It's pulled back, made a lower low. So just taken out this low and then started holding high lows, bit of a washout here. And then it's popped up just through that most recent high, but then it's pulled back and it wasn't very deep really. It was about a 50% move, retracement of this move up. looking great. So I think that's going to go through 210 and start targeting up towards 220 and beyond, but we'll see how it goes. The ASX is looking great. I don't know what everyone else is thinking, but I think it's pretty much what we've been speaking about in the past few days or few weeks. Really kicking on. We'll get up the chart now. Actually, let's just look at it here. I mean, look at that little move up and through. Look at that weekly, and look at this stochastics. I really like that sort of thing. It bounces around here. And it just means the buying's strong. It's just been held up, and then it's just starting to, head up again. It is obviously, it is sort of hovering around overbought, but that doesn't mean too much. The market can just hover around there for a while. I don't know if there's anywhere we can see. It's around here. It sort of held up. It was overbought. Excuse me. And it popped up and still held the highs. This one could easily extend. And this is what I'm sort of expecting with this type of choppiness, that where it's just struggling a bit and it's just got sold off a couple of days. I'm expecting it where it is now just to extend just into 6,000, just sort of spike up into 6,000. So be interesting to see what we do from there, because that's going to be a major zone. We're probably going to get some major reaction off there, but just beware. There's two things, I guess, from here what we'd be looking at, especially on the weekly. I can just hear in the background that's just started to thunder down, so it's just really, really raining hard now. With the ASX, what I find to look at is that when you've got a nice strong trend up, and you get up into a resistance, if you fall short, and then start to struggle, I'm not talking a few points short like that and hold higher lows. I'm talking just, say, a couple of points short here rather than, say, 200. A few points short, then it's just struggling, and there's sellers are probably jumping in early, expecting that resistance level to hold. So that's a good sign that it's probably going to struggle to get up and through. Whereas on the flip side, if it actually spikes up and through, you say 20 points or so through that level, and then you start getting a bit of a pullback, that's not a bad sign for me. I'd rather see that than falling short of that mark, because it just means that there's a lot more people wanting to sell, and generally, if you're going to sell, you don't sell on the 6,000 mark right on the dot. It's a waste of time. You've got to come below that, really, a few points just below that, to make sure you get filled if you really want to be filled. Now, if you're sitting back just watching it to see what happens when people are probably feeling more positive, they got some good positions, they're up on their positions, or you trade in the ASX, you sort of long the ASX, and you want to give it a chance to prove you're wrong or prove you're right, you wouldn't be sitting there on the offer and just selling it just below that. You'd probably just wait to see what happens, and a lot of times it can spike up and through, then pull back, build a high low, and then go again. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out when we get up around that 6,000 mark. I mean, it may just fall short here, who knows, but at the moment it's looking good, looking really nice. I mean, that weekly is in a prime position on the stochastics. It's held this little inside level, which we mentioned a few times, 56.75. It held that beautifully. You can see that, bang, and then just took off, and it's just accelerated straight up and through that 58.27 mark. So it's well on its way, and it's done enough work. I mean, it's pretty much most of this year. It's pushed up just at the start of the year, 56, pulled back, had a decent enough correction around 56, a couple of 100 points, popped back up, retest, pulled back, build that high low. So that was great when you saw that. And even this little inside day, I know we popped up there. That may have been a reaction off this minor low. If you can see that candle just here, little green candle, and that red candle pushed down, and it looked like it was going to probably head south and break through 56.75, but it got brought up to, it's pretty much, I think it opened down there and then got brought up into the end of the day. It must have, either way, I think it actually sold off on the open and then bang, which finished up quite strong. So that was a good little sign. When it popped up through this previous day's highs, that's just fantastic. So we'll see how that goes, if it can just kick on. I think it will, but we never know. Anyway, let's go through any questions on that, guys. What is everyone else's view? I'm just hearing me gabble on. The US is obviously, I think, the key thing for them now. They just seem to be bullish. I mean, it's in one of those markets in the US at the moment. It's going to take a lot to turn it, because the view always was that, what I was thinking, if they fall short on this healthcare bill, then they're probably going to be a bit of a sell-off. People are getting sick of it. They're holding on to good positions, and it really wasn't. It was a couple of days down, and then it took off, not last night, the night before, rallied quite hard. And then it's just that view, and and this is what we've spoken about too in the past, you don't get too negative on something, because if everyone's negative, it's a time where it can just turn around and head north and just really take off and just start just squeezing shorts out, and it's just constant fuel. The more sort of negativity there can be around, there's times when it can just keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. They keep supporting it. It keeps getting bought up. Any shorts that built up get squeezed back out. They go again. The market pulls back and just rinses and repeats and just keeps rinsing these people out of the market. Any short positions that built up because they're expecting that they're trying to, I guess, front run a pullback. They're not looking at the market correctly in my eyes. They're not looking at the structure. They're really just trying to second guess, okay, it's extended on the upside. Doesn't mean anything. It could keep getting more and more extended. Anytime you think it's overextending, you try to jump in without confirmation as such, then the market can just run you back over again. Yeah, look, it's just a solid bull market. I mean, the market didn't react too much to this healthcare bill not getting through. And then it's like, okay, let's look on the bright side. Maybe it's going to be the tax reform is going to come around a bit quicker than expected, and then that'll probably get through. And okay, now if it looks like that's not going to get through, and that's probably why obviously why the market's pushed up, they're sort of gearing up towards what do you call it? Earnings now. They're starting to look towards earnings, so they'll just hold it up. The market will probably hold up going into earnings, and then if you get bad earnings, it'll be interesting to see how we go then. Because this market, I think the S&P is 18 times earnings, and its average is about 15, I think. So it's sort of well above the average, and I think a lot of the stocks obviously are priced, quite high than what they probably should be. So you'd expect a bit of heat to come out of the market, but like I said, you don't try to anticipate it. You always wait for confirmation, and if you miss it, you miss it. But the last thing you want to do is get run over. We've looked at the S&P before on the index. We said, okay, it looked like there's shorts starting to stack up on it because everyone's thinking it's a short. I know clients, like I said before, that he goes, I keep getting run over. I think it's a short. It goes down and it turns around and runs back on me. He said that's just because it's what the market does. You're jumping in, you're giving fuel for the market to kick higher again. So you just got to be wary. You got to look at price structure rather than thinking it's extended. I'll take a bit of a chance and then I'll put my stop above there because it's all great. But when you start getting stopped out a few times because you're not going off structure, it just adds up. So really just want to sit and then base your trades off what you see, not what you think, I guess. But yeah, very strong market. So it'll be interesting to see what we do in the US and what's going to turn it. I don't think it's going to be something that everything's sort of factored in. Tax reform, what happens if that doesn't get through? That'd be interesting, but I don't know. I think it'll just sort of come out the blue more than anything else. We'll start getting the sell-off, and then you'll find that if we break key levels on the Dow or the S&P, break key levels on the downside, key support levels, and then you'll start getting still people who may have missed this bull run or been sitting on the sidelines expecting it to pull back. They get a bit sick of it. They start jumping in, and it might have a little pop up again, suckering in some long positions, and then just do the reverse, start washing them out and rinsing and repeating as it's falling over. So it'd be interesting to see how we go. We'll take a look at the Dow if I can. I haven't got it here. I've got a different login, so just wondering where I can get them or how. I can't remember how to get them, to be honest. Oh, here we go. I'll try to find the Dow just so we can have a quick look at it. Probably DOW, is it? No, that's down it. Oh, I know. DJI, that's the one. Look at that on the daily. If you look at that on the daily, if we get a proper chart up, that's on the weekly. You can see that's well and truly that's getting extended on the upside, but it is coming, and it's that type of the contraction we talked about before. When the market sort of pops up, it extends up, it pulls back, makes a lower high, makes a minor lower low, makes a minor lower high, and then just sort of contracts back rather than any severe sell-off like this. Bang. It's more controlled, a couple of red days, a couple of green days, a couple of red days, a couple of green days, that type of action down, but it's still holding the anchor levels way down here, say just below 20,000. Was it 19,750, say? that's the key leg for this anchor up. So we could just be contracting back up. We might extend and make new highs again on the Dow. The actual daily doesn't look bad at all. See this? It's a pull back, pop back up, make a minor lower high. It's pulled back again. But it's all within this anchor level to that uptrend. And don't forget, so you've had this move up. It's consolidated a bit through here. Good part of a month and a half or so, and then popped up into new highs. It's got to take a bit of heat out of the market, but it hasn't broken a level. So this is where people get suckered in, thinking it's going to be a short, and they get squeezed back out when it pops back up. Now, if it breaks that level, 19,750 potentially, then this leg's probably over. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in that major leg up on the weekly, on this major leg up. So yeah, it still doesn't look too bad. Look at the S&P. I don't know why I can't find it. Got the DAX there. Oh, here we go. It's not even the SPX GSPC. So it's a bit the same on the S&P. The weekly's looking it's getting a bit stretched up there, but this type of price action is not bad at all. And it's the same sort of thing, I think, major sort of support around that 2250. That's really anchor leg. It had a bit of consolidation. It was a bit better than the Dow, a bit harder to read that. That pop up through here, a bit of a pullback, higher low, and then we went again. We had some really strong move up through 2300 to 2400. And then we get this type of price action contraction, but it's still holding that trend up. There's no anchor broken. It's still going on the upside. So you've got to be wary of these sorts of things. Where it could just easily flush people out again. So it's still looking good in saying that. We may just get a bit of contraction here as people are expecting that because of healthcare, people locking in profits. Start building if we get some sort of price action that pulls back and it can't take out this low, 23.25. Maybe from here it could easily just roll over and then start building that high low. Then I think it can accelerate back up and make new highs. And that's going to drag our market up if we're not at 6,000 by then already. But yeah, it's looking, there's no reason to be jumping in short just at the moment. If you're going to really, you're just anticipating anything. You're really just guessing. So, what was I going to go over now? Let's just quickly take a look at some of these currencies. That's the 30-minute chart there on the ASX. We thought it was going to break up through here on the open, which it did. And it's just kept on going. What are we up about 20 or 30 points at the moment? 20 points, so looking great. Let's go through. We'll start off the pound. What they have, Brexit, pretty much action there. Was it Theresa May, which action their exit or their Brexit overnight. And so really that's starting 2 years of negotiations. I think it's up to 2 years. I think they've got up to 2 years to negotiate the exit, how it's going to play out and all that sort of stuff. So I don't think it was really going to move the market so much. What it has done with the pound, it's starting to, we're forming that major higher low. I'll probably extend this out. This goes all the way back here. So we've got a support. That was actually Brexit, I think, when they voted. That was voted in Brexit, and they had a major sell-off, and it just started holding it, contracted off that level, pushed back down, retested, just washed out that low, and popped back up to that 127.30 mark. And it's been edging its way lower, and we were short around here when there was a fair few positions built up. We were expecting that to get washed out. Thought it may have gone down to test that zone, but what we've done is just really built that major high low, which you can see. So this is what we've spoken about a few times on the currencies, what happens time and time again. You can see that pop out. So this will say, you'd be aware of that move down. It's popped back out. So it's just washed out. That's sort of a key level in there. Washed out with this move up, then come thumping down. Really a big wash out of that support zone, but it didn't finish below there. So that was really a good sign that it was going to take off, especially after this move here. And then we got that edging higher all the way up to a key level around 25.77, 75, where we originally looked for it was a short around here, I think. If you can just see, it was around that zone when we originally looked at a potential short squeeze. Sorry, what am I talking about? Long squeeze, and squeezing all those long positions out that were being built up and pushing down. But that looks like it's retraced all the way back up, and it's even broken up above 25.77. So the way I'm viewing this is more of contraction, building a major high low, because this is a major high low on the daily. In at this level, it's popped back up, building a major high low here again, probably not on the daily obviously, but a 4-hourly chart we're on, and then popping up and through 25.74, maybe up to 27 and beyond. But that could be a big mover. I just have to keep an eye on it because it's had this sort of long term, it's just been bouncing around between that range. So if that's the case and this is building that higher low and we're going to hold another higher low here, that could really accelerate up and through 27, or at least have a major wash out of that, pull back, and then just go on and up from there. Euro, we've been, biased up on this one. We were looking at around here. I think anyone that's been looking at the weekly Forex reviews that we're starting has got an idea of what we're doing. Really just that was a massive short squeeze. Now the market's actually come more in line. I think it's very close to being even. Yeah, so before it was about, when we were looking around here, it's about 70% of people were short. Now it's more like 56 or so, and 44 long. So there's been a lot of short squeezing going on. It's probably just contracting. That's probably why you've seen that broke of a major sort of support line. So I think there's going to be a major corrective action, and then we'll just have to see how it goes. It's obviously popped its head up above the 108.39, so it did really, really well for us. It's pulled back, so we just got to see now when this sort of moved down, how far it's going to go. It's going to go back and retest 106.78. Don't know from here, and then we want to just really keep an eye on it because it could potentially be that's a big leg up, big contractive move back down, start seeing some sort of level holding with higher lows, and start seeing that move, with the anchor of this move down broken. Just looking for those anchors again. What's happening once we start seeing that? Say it's here, for example. Let me just do it. Just say we start holding this level here and break up and through here, you'd start thinking, well, hang on a sec, this leg down, this move down, this contraction down is starting to break. We may consolidate from here and then just look for that higher low to potentially look for a new leg up, a new major leg up. But I think there's going to have to get a few more shorts to get built up here for that potential for another long squeeze, but we'll see how that goes. US yen, I think there's a lot of long positions stacked up on the US dollar. And that's why we were looking at it here. Expected a bit of a bounce and then more long positions come off a major support zone and then get squeezed back out, but it just kept going down. It's looking like now we're starting to get that rounding bottom, so we may contract back up. We've still got, for this trend to break, it could easily pop up. Might have really a little level through here, and that may just come back up, retest that level, and that's really where that maybe that's the anchor level near 111.50 is really the anchor level. If that breaks, we may get some major correction back up. We may find a bit of reaction off that level, start building some lower highs, and then squeezing back out those long positions. But we just have to really watch this one. I think the entries were really around here. We were looking at it a bit late then for that long squeeze. There's potential more entries just in here, short, but you were starting to get in a bit late to that trend down. But now we're looking like we're going to break that move down and we're going to contract back up. So from here, it's just really looking to see where we go from here. Any questions on those guys? Last but not least, we're just looking at the Aussie. We're looking at this last night around this mark for a push higher. And again, this one's it's not seriously biased east way. I think there was more shorts built up, and that's because of that move down off that major resistance at 77.46. We're biased. I think at this stage we're still looking for a bit of a short squeeze, and which it did do. No, it was actually in here, which it did do. It popped up, but it was so close to a major resistance zone. It's just come back down, and it's what that's done with that move down is really dragged in a few more short sellers, whether retail, wholesale, who knows. But we just know that there's been a few that have actually been building up. We've got that washout, just like the pound previously. A bit of a washout, which has led to that move higher. So when you get this sort of thing, especially you can see, really try to take note of that type of price action. Like I said, it doesn't happen as much on the stocks, but it can happen easily. That's not what I'm looking at, is it? That's better. So you get this little pop through a major support zone, pop back up, and you'd expect it if it was going to roll over, and the fact that it's gone really just down and retested with that little minor high low here, that's an awesome little trigger, because that's it's a great sign that it's a washout. It's not continuation lower, and that move down has just run out of steam. We found a level, we washed it out, popped back up, retested it here, and then that's led to that move back up to take out the anchor. and we've pulled back below that anchor and started just holding higher lows. Now that's not much. We've got that little acceleration up, a few bars, and these are hourly bars, don't forget. Acceleration up, contraction back to test that anchor, held, rejected, acceleration back up, and just it keeps sort of rinsing and repeating. So sooner or later, if there's shorts building up here, if they're selling it each time down here, expecting it to roll over, they're getting squeezed back out. Sooner or later, they're going to give up the ghost, and this is going to accelerate a bit harder, and you probably get a better, bigger, stronger move up towards 77.46, even up and through it. I'm more biased to that, really. If this is a major higher low in context of these support and resistance, then I think that's going to lead to a big push up through 77.46. But again, we'll just see how that goes. It's the US rate rises which are a thing at the moment. And if they have problems with tax reforms in the US, then I think that's going to come a bit of selling into US. But there's been, God, if every FOMC member has been speaking the last few days, there's been about 3 or 4 of them a night getting up and having their 2 bobs worth about interest rates. So sooner or later, people are going to get sick of hearing what they're saying. They're talking about interest rates for the, further interest rate rises in the US the coming year. But I think the thing is that that should be supportive of the US dollar, but it doesn't really look like it's supportive. I think more the fact that this US dollar could get knocked on the head if, tax reform doesn't get through or has problems like healthcare. So, but we'll see how it goes. All right, what is everyone else's views on that? Well, enough of the babbling. All right. What do we want to have a look at then? We'll start off with FXJ. Is there anything else you want to pop in? Nathan, if you've got anything, Paul, we'll look at FXJ for you. One that we're probably going to... I just wanted to point this out. Look at... what is this? Bank of Queensland. Now this, I think, looks really nice. See this little washout here, and I know we just said it doesn't happen as much on stocks, but it definitely happens. You can see that major support zone at $10 washed out. Did close below, but then it's proceeded to take up, just to rally hard and take out the most recent anchor, which was around that 1160 mark just in here. So that trend really, for me, that's a change in trend. You get that market pushing lower, and it's really, when it goes through a support, it should be something like this, a good hard push through. You don't just pop through in one day and then stop. Yeah, that's more of a washout of stops. Who knows whether there's buyers that are boarded in here and they've got their stops below a key level at 10. It's targeted them, it's got them, and then it's just reversed on it. So, and even that, if there's short positions that go, if it breaks through here, I want to go short, I'm going to have a major stop up here. I don't know how people trade, but there's likelihood that they do that on a major move, looking for a short there. Whack it into their system with an with a if done. So if done, if that executes, I've got an if done stop up here. Potentially a profit target way down here on the short side, but it's just stopped them in and gone and got them right back out again. So the market can do that just as fuel for a move, and it just does it time and time again. Like I said, not as common on stocks, but you've got to be wary of these sorts of things, especially if it's near a key level. Look at this just back here. It's pushed down. If you can see that little move down here, then it's popped back up. So that's sort of the key level. It tried to get down. It's popped back up with the lower high. It's washed it out. Just really sold off. And that was that push down. It tried to go again, but it just couldn't. It held up, making a really minor high low. And that's led to a good, strong move higher. So not saying it always happens, but it can happen quite a lot. A lot of times that big washout, if you keep it on track, it was hard to buy that one though. Really, for me, there was no real entry just after that washout before you got up to this sort of zone in here. But I think what I'm really liking about this is the weekly chart. Look at this weekly. If I can get that back. We'll draw this up. I think it looks really nice. Sorry, I'll just buy and BOQ. I'll tell you what, I'm not seeing exactly, but I'll tell you what I'm looking at there, Paul, on the on BOQ. I want to see it on a daily basis. If we just go back to, so I'm going to draw it up on a weekly. Even on the daily, yeah, look. This one, I'm sort of halfway in between that. I think if it pushes up through, say, $12, I think it's worthwhile having a stab at it, because that means you're sort of front-running confirmation. Now, confirmation that this is a major high or low is really going to break up through 1240. Okay, that's your confirmation. Okay, it's pushed down. You know, we built that lower high in here. We washed it out, and then we popped straight back up, taking out the anchor for the trend down. So really, that you don't know what's going to happen, whether it's just going to go sideways for a while. But the fact, if we push up and through 1240, for instance, or these little highs in here, that's confirmation this is major high or low. So it should lead to a push higher, say from 10 to 1240. It's 240. If you take that, say from 1140, it should take us to 1380, which is somewhere up here. So that's your one leg up, contraction back, higher low holding, and you just extrapolate that leg, that volatility up there, but project, it takes you somewhere around 1380. So if you get in, what you'd be doing by that buying through $12, that little high there, is really front running that. So it's more aggressive entry, a much more aggressive entry, and you're working off less confirmation, and you're working more on this major price structure. So there's a good chance you pop it in, you get in, it falls short of this little high at 1220, so you're actually in. Then it rolls over, stops you out, has a deeper correction, bit of a wash out of this low like it did here, and then go. So there's a chance that you get stopped out there because you're sort of buying from less confirmation. But for me, that looks like a fairly solid type of an entry anyway. So in saying all that, I'm probably in two minds at the moment. I just wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more confirmation off the daily, but the weekly is the one that's really got me excited. You've got major, just marking up all your levels. Major push down into 6. It's popped up, made a major lower high, pushed down. And this would have been anything like that, prime. You can see that little washout here of these previous lows just in here. If you can see that. It hasn't really washed out that low, but it's washed out these lows and then popped back up. Tried to go again with a nice solid sell-off, but then a nice little entry through there would have been ideal, and that's led to a good strong move up. Now, if we can get that, I'd just be absolutely loving it. I think what we'd be looking at now, all this type of price action with this little washout here, you've contracted back, so we've got this major leg higher, major contraction back off, good sign for a buy entry. Start to look for a buy entry was this little washout, and then what followed is a break of that move down by washing out this anchor level. So we're really just trying to preempt going from contraction to expansion. Now, this could easily pop up here, then roll over again and retest this low, or build a major. We don't know how far this little leg is going to contract on the daily. Does that make sense? Just off that weekly price structure is looking very, very positive. So you've had that move up through this high, and it's the same type of price action. You can see that price action there is exactly what's happened on a major scale. It's just doing exactly the same thing. So in essence, what we could be seeing is really a nice little setup. So I guess if we go down to the daily and just look at that again, I really do like it because of, so we're really just trying to look for that contraction here. We want to see that. I want confirmation. So that's why I was saying maybe that 12 is not a bad area. If you buy it with a break through 12, it's sort of broken out of this contraction lower, which is you're sort of front running that's going to hold. And you've even had this little washout of this most recent higher little low in here. So there's a lot of factors adding up for a potential buy. So just keep an eye on the alerts. I'll make my decision by the time I do it. But after speaking about it now, I'm actually getting a bit more confident that this is a major higher low and this is a minor higher low with respect to the weekly charts. So if that's the case, this could lead us to, if we're buying in here with the move through 12, and that's the start of a new leg up, that's the leg to project, and that's gone from $6 up to $14. What's that? That's $8 from 10. It's going to 18. That's a bloody good risk reward, isn't it? Does that make sense to you guys? And how we're sort of putting that together? I just want to make sure that people understand where I'm coming from, because we're sort of flicking between weekly and daily. I love the weekly structure, but what I want to do is really refine the entry and refine what we're looking for on a daily basis. And when you break it down to the daily, just remember we're looking at this most recent price action. We've got a potential high-low building at 10, which is way down here. And so we're just looking for that same structure. It's already showing early signs that with this move up here that's broken this weekly move down, breaking that, it's pulling back. So we're just looking for it to do the same thing and break out a contraction on this most recent one. Is that making sense? So yeah, I really like that price action. I think this is one that could really have some good potential. I mean, if you buy it through 12 and your risk is down 11.20, that's what, 80 cents? 80 cents risk for potentially $6, $7, $8 move. How could you knock that back? Because if all that plays out to a T and we start getting this daily starts pushing higher, takes out this 1240 zone, then that's good confirmation that this is a major high low. This is a minor high low on the daily basis, and it's coming off a major high low. What's going to happen from there? That should accelerate higher. That move there is going to start building and push up through these highs at least. You'd think, or at least push up to test 14. So 80 cents with even a $2. That's more than 2 to 1, 2.5 to 1, 3 to 1. So looking good. All right. I spent 10 minutes talking about that, didn't I? FXJ, we'll take a look at that. So is there any questions on this? So I think it's a very good, it's a nice really example of building your trade, building what you're looking at the price structure, and building the reasons or the probability behind why you're trading it. And I think it's a good little example of what we've spoken about in the past and what we're trying to achieve with our trading. Alrighty then. What were you looking at, Paul? FXJ. Looks good. So that weekly, it's spent a hell of a lot of time. What is it? Since 4 years, just banging around between $1.10 and say 75. It's a little bit extended just with that pop up through those highs, so it could be a bit of a flush out, and it could. I'm sort of expecting, and it's extended now too. On the daily basis, this move up is quite extended, and that's quite vertical with that move up to 114. So for me, I would expect a bit of back and fill. And when I say back and fill, I mean lower lows, lower highs in context of this. So the anchor for this really it can be all the way down at $1. This could back and fill, hold up above $1, build a major high low, and then go again. But I think the way that's moved up, it's accelerated. It's not this type of price action where it's not taking out the highs very much. It's just gone bang, straight up. Big acceleration. It held these highs around 102, a couple of cents. Consolidated for a few days and accelerated again up to 114. So that's quite a strong move. I think a bit of heat needs to come out of that because it's got through those highs. And on a weekly basis, it could pull back to 90, 95. Build that major high low if you get that type of price action. I think that's going to lead because in context of what's happened, it's pushed down towards about 40 cents. It's gone up off, rallied up off 40 cents into about $1.10. And then spend a long time just doing nothing. Not really nothing, but just range trading between, $1.10 or so and 70. You can see. So that's good. That's a good sign because that means that their selling has come out of the market. Buyers are stepping in. They're going, look, I'm happy to step in around 80 cents or so up here, holding it to buy it up and just push it higher. And this most recent push up through $1.10 through these highs is signs that there's more buying coming in. It's a bit stronger. There's less sellers. So it's starting to show signs of cracking, and that trend is starting to head higher. So really, I would be working off a daily basis. Okay. What's that takeover speculation driving the price? Yeah. Speculation like that. I mean, if something doesn't happen, this can come crashing back down to earth. There's obviously something happening just because the way it did nothing for a while and then bang, off she went, straight up. Okay. So you're saying it's just valuation of their domain business. Interesting. All right. Anything else you want to look at, guys? Chuck it in the chat. Let's just see where we're at. AJM, I don't like that. Disappointed with that one. I would be even more. You watch me the next few sessions. If this thing actually kicks off, I will be ropeable. I try not to get emotional about my trading, but there's times when you just get frustrated. See, like now we had about 6-7 positions. The ones that are doing well, when they're up, but they're not kicking on hard. They're sort of, like I said, API. That's gone well. It's just heading up to a zone. We're probably going to get a bit of reaction off 210, which we touched on yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, yesterday. Bit of reaction off there, so it'll be interesting to see we go the next couple of days. We just break up and through because the price structure is looking good. It's just been really slow moving. You can see that. I just want to see some acceleration. If we get some acceleration, then I'd be happy to take half off and just see what happens from there. But that's sort of been banging around doing bugger all for a few days. Coke, the same. We've been holding this for a while now. And you can see this price action here. It's holding high lows, but it's just sort of bouncing around. It was only up until today. It's really started to kick on. So we're looking up towards 11 for potential. I just think it's time to take a partial on that one because we've got the dividends and we're going to have a good little gain on that from 1036. So I'll be happy with that. What else do we got? S32. That's looking, actually, if that gets up through 280, I think that's going to accelerate higher again. That's looking great. We spent a few days behind the 8 ball here. We're at 275. I think it was in here, and it spent a few days doing nothing. So that's been just banging around for a while. MVF is looking good, except see the stochastics. That's the thing that's starting to concern me because this is rising. You can see the weekly stochastics. I'll just explain it a bit better. Now, the dailies are in a good little zone to pop higher, but this time that stochastics have been rising, but the price is struggling to go higher. So that's why you've just got to be concerned about this. If this doesn't accelerate soon, I think it's going to roll over and retest these lows at least, and we'll be stopped out. What do we got? We've got it at 191, so we're about break even at the moment. We're a touch down, but it's not much. But on the weekly, you can see that's been rising from here, but we're starting to struggle here. Looking at the daily, there is potential for that to crack up through 195, or it's just as much potential for that to roll over and this to be a major lower high and go back down to retest 170, potentially go through. But either way, if it gets through this sort of, we've got to stop about 183 thereabouts, I think. If it gets down and through there, then we're stopped out and we'll have to reassess it. But that's getting a bit annoying, a bit frustrating because there's a lot of these ones that are ahead or break even. They've just been bouncing around in between, bouncing around a few cents for a while now. The ones that we got wrong have gone straight down. So still doing well. It's just it's not going as well as you like. Just trying to think. Yeah, here's one. TLG. Talk about kicking yourself. I was looking at this one instead of. I'll just show you the chart that we put up. I don't know if did you see this one come through, Paul? So we'll look at your what's name in a second. Can't remember what I said on this. Yeah, this is what we're looking at on a weekly basis. I expected that to be in a couple of good weeks. I expected to come back, really just to contract in on itself for a bit on the weekly, just in here, and it's just gone bang. The day I sent that out, it took off. We really, really like that price structure, but the weekly looked great. Gee, that's a lot of. The reason why you like this one and what we liked about it, it spent a lot of time sort of hovering above that 18. It ground down to retest it, and it's pushed straight back up to resistance. So that's a good move. That's really strong price action. The way it's just completely washed out all these lower highs, smashed back up. It did retrace quite quickly though, but then it held a higher low. Beautiful. Popped back up through the highs, took out all these highs with this move up here, pulled back, and it's building that high low at 36. So I just thought it would contract a bit more and give us that entry on the daily, but really that was the entry through 41. Would have been beautiful. But yeah, kicking myself over that one. That would have been beautiful. SIV. Is it Silver Chef? Right now, it's coming into looking at this one. Let's draw it up. That's not what I want. Now, what I'm looking at for this one here, you can see that trend's higher. It's where it is at the moment. It's sort of in that zone where, you know, it's had that pullback there. And I reckon if you measure that from high to low, it's probably about a very similar distance there. So I'm just getting a phone call through. They're going to have to wait. There we go, finished. So you can see that it's had acceleration higher, it's contracted back lower, built a major high low just in here, and that's led to that nice strong move up. So you can see that's just up, pull back, up, pull back. So that's in that zone. It really is. It's in that zone now where just in here could be in a buying opportunity. You can see the stochastics are looking okay in a good little zone, oversold, extended to the downside. So if that's got to get soaked up. So the buying is going to start stepping in here. To start buying that and soak it up, any of this sort of selling. But I think just looking at that on the basic weekly, this one had a savage move down. It was somewhere around, it's sort of equivalent to somewhere around here, where I think it's got to spend a few weeks of just consolidating, holding those higher lows with buyers stepping in, and then start to build this little move up. That would have been an awesome entry off a weekly. You've got that push up, took out some lows, pull back, build that major high low, and then it's gone. So that as a risk-reward trade off the weekly basis anyway. Just that little, you can see that pop up through here. That break through this level was around just over $6. Could have really led to a nice little trade there, and your risk is just below here. So that was beautiful. So I'd like to see that type of price action. If we just go back down to the daily just to see what's happening on the daily. Look, there's nothing to say for me that this current leg higher is finished. So just beware, we are coming in as a potential weekly zone to buy it, but the daily's got to show signs. So we're going to look to the daily for early signs that early signs that this is actually going to hold up and start producing the goods. So this zone, who knows where it's going to be, but say somewhere around here could be a potential buy zone. But we've got to contract, I think, just within this high, this low. So it is quite range. It's $2. It's about somewhere around $2 to $2.40. That range, $2.40. But I think we've got to see that's a push down, pop back up. So we've got our resistance there, support there, and it's pulled back. I'd want to see this type of price action. You know, it's going to take a bit of time to play out, but then start to hold this sort of high low, this price action here. You can see that's starting to squeeze. It's getting that high low all off this high, and it's within this range, and then start holding a high low. We've got that little break up there, and then you'd probably be happy to buy, have a bit of a dabble, buy it in here, and that's probably going to take us up and through 840, which the next level is really up towards that 920, and then you're remembering the weekly. If that's the case, we're buying out in a good weekly zone. We've got that weekly projection up, so it could be a nice, strong, healthy move up and through these $12 zone. So if that plays out, that'd be awesome. But right now, it's something to keep on the watch list in my eyes. But I want to see the daily actually show signs of a buy entry. It is extended to the downside, so you probably see this move down. So you got this initial move down, which sort of went to oversold here. With that reaction back up, sellers have come back in, but buyers are starting to soak it up before it's getting down to 7. And it's quite heavily sold. So the strength of that move down has been quite a bit of selling if you look at it from this point of view. Quite a bit of selling, but the buyers are stepping in at higher prices and soaking up. They're not just sitting there and waiting to see, okay, let's see if it gets down to 7. They're happy if they're building a big position or a longer term position, they're happy to soak it up just to make sure they got their toe in the water. Okay, and so that's why it's always good to see with stochastics, just to get an idea of what's happening. So for me, that's showing very early signs of this type of thing. Okay, so maybe we punch back up, sellers give it another go, and then buyers start to soak it up again, but we still hold above this level, whether we don't pull all the way back down and we sort of start contracting within these. Who knows what's going to happen, but it is a nice early sign that that's something is starting to build. All right, John, let's look at TAH. Is that sound good? Do you believe me, Paul, or what? I've been watching Silver Chef. I've never dabbled in it much. Had a nice little setup a while ago. I just sort of missed it. I was looking for something and it didn't play out to a T, and I just sort of forgot it. All right, Tabcorp. So the first thing, just looking at this daily, because you've only got a certain amount of price action there. It doesn't look like much. So that's why it's always good just to flick it back a chart to see if what's the major trend saying. What's starting to build. Oh, great. Saw you there, Paul. Yeah, what it's showing, just this most recent price action, you've got this, this push up to the highs, bit of a wash out of this most recent high through 520 with this spike up low, then it was rejected, took out the lows, weakness coming into the market, it's pushed down, take out most recent high low, started to build again, built a major lower high just in here below 5, and that's led to acceleration through and down through this $4.50. So there's weakness there. Now that hasn't finished just yet. Potentially we're building a major lower high like this. So you've got your initial leg down, pop back up, initial leg down, potentially a pop back up, and we're going to go for a third leg down. But the fact that was coming, this move down has come into a bit of a buy zone, potentially a previous buy zone, previous support zone through say 410 to 420. So really for this to be there's got to be absolute weakness in this stock for that to go down and through. So what I'm more inclined to believe, there's going to be a bit of selling like that. It's a good zone to be, selling to come in, but then we're going to start pushing down to build a major high low. And then you'd want to be after that comes into the market, that's probably where you want to be looking for some sort of entries. And that weekly, there's a lot of chop reaction there. And just what you probably, I don't know if we see it, that's a major double top. So, and you can understand why this weakness has come in. Will do. Why don't you do what I ask you? Here we are. Alright. So looking at the weekly, it is a bit of reason for concern. You've got that major double top up here. The thing is, it doesn't mean too much until we break a key level. So really what we could be seeing is that push down, that reaction off here, it's still potentially going to hold that hold that trend higher, building the higher lows on a longer term basis. Now we've got that double top to contend with. And in saying that's anyone that's potentially long up here, if they see any sort of weakness, they might start, just diving out of the market, booking some profits and just seeing what happens from there, reassessing it. Now, that's what we just spoke about on the daily. So we may get a bit of contraction. I think there's right at the moment off the weekly chart, there's sort of an argument for both long and short. All right, so we don't know who's going to win out at the moment, and that's why I'd probably prefer to see, potentially not right here. I think we're a bit extended up here. I'd rather see it pull back and start building. So if you got this, well, that's a bit big, isn't it? This type of price action. So we've had that major push up, pull back, push back up, all the way back down. It's probably not quite to scale, but I guess you get what I'm talking about here. It's probably a bit better. Nice push up. And we've just gone back up to that resistance. So we're at this point here. I'd be inclined to think this, and if we get this type of price action, I think there's going to be a nice little entry build, only because then if there's further weakness and you start to fall short of this low, falling short of that low, building that higher low, that would be awesome. Then you get that little contraction. Then you're going down to your dailies just to see if we get this type of price action and we can get a nice refined entry, because then that could be potentially the start of a nice weekly trend high, which could take us up and through, was it 530? From this zone up somewhere around 4. So risk reward wise, that's what you'd want to see, the buyers stepping in and this trend up continuing on the weekly basis, which could easily take us up and through that double top. But at the moment, that double top, it could bring in further weakness. So if we don't do this type of price action, and instead we build and we start getting some lower highs and then breaking down and through, I think there's going to be a major push lower. We might be heading down to sort of that key zone where it's broken out from and retesting down towards 380, 390. But I think it's definitely, John, just keep that on the radar. I mean, if you're in it, just sort of focus on those daily charts so you can just refine your exits and entries and exits and things like that. That most recent little move here is not so bad. Okay, Sid, I will take a look at that. I've got that on, I think I've sent that out a couple of days ago, an alert. It was starting to set up a show and it's just kicked on, which I didn't quite expect. So this is where my shortcomings in fundamentals are probably there's going to be times when it's going to leave me hanging and leave me sitting on the sidelines. But we'll get into MUS. Does that make sense there, John? What we talked about TAH, Tabcorp? If no, no, yes, let me know anyway. What do we want to look at? MUS. God, there's no chart there. What are we on the weekly? All right, obviously it's down on its lows and it's been a lot higher before that. It looks good. No doubt about that. Now, what I'm guessing is most people can see exactly why that looks nice, and the risk reward on this. Clement has been sending a few through and he's picking some crackers. He really is doing his homework, and he's, I think he's really got an eye for it at the moment, and he's doing really well. And this is a good little setup, this one. This one's got potential to really accelerate by the looks of it. If we just draw it up quickly and why, I guess it's pretty clear. I guess it should be pretty clear. I've done it again, haven't I? I always forget to just minimize that. Let's just focus on really the last few, because that's the only thing we've got to focus on. The only thing, I mean, this is probably the only thing, and then again, it's not the be all and end all. It's just it's starting to get a bit extended. This little pop up here, but what we're looking at, awesome support. This may contract up, so this is the only reason why you just got to think of what scenarios could happen. It's come off a major base. You've had that acceleration high, contraction lower, and you can see that contraction's in two stages. One, lower high, two, just washing out these lows, and then it bang, took off, tried to go, and that's where you get a bit of resistance up there. It's tried to go, it's just washed out those highs, then started retreating. As soon as it takes out that low here, with this move down, any longer got to be concerned, which has pulled back, but then buyers have stepped in. They're happy, stepping in high, you've pushed that up, pulled back, and it's pushed back up. Whether you entered through 850, and it'd be nice if you entered just below that, through that high there, that would have been a cracker. The beauty is, and what I know Clement's seen, is that your risk reward. So the scenarios, you've got to think of what scenarios could play out here. All right. The scenario is that it just accelerates higher, and he's just laughing his head off, and it takes out the highs at 1050, and on she goes, and he's just sitting on an absolute cracking trade. The other scenario is that we do a bit of this price action. Well, we go up, pull back, so that's that 1, 2, the third move up, and then we just start building. It starts failing, and that's only probably because it's getting a bit extended up there, and that may mean a deeper correction, maybe even a retest to 7. Who knows? But that could lead to some selling coming into it, especially when it's had a couple of good, strong legs up. That's the second sort of scenario. But the fact is that if I'm guessing he's got in somewhere, if Clement got in somewhere, 8.4, thereabouts. Oh, no, you can. 10 cents. No, you can't. Can you? No, you can. Sorry, I'm dreaming there. If he's got in somewhere around there, or even 850, he probably, he's giving yourself some room to move. And if it pulls back and starts to go again and starts failing, you can get out a small profit or a break-even trade. So you're giving yourself every opportunity to get in nice and early and to lock in some sort of gain. Even if you're wrong, you can potentially lock in something. So that looks nice. But my view that this type of price action, I saw just that type of price section. 1, 2, it could pull back, but it may just retest this sort of support zone and then go again. Sooner or later, there's going to be people kept on the sidelines that are expecting this type of move up. I actually do think it could, just from here, if you get a bit of contraction in here, it's going to go pop and it's just going to really accelerate hard like that. Does that make sense there to everyone? But in saying that, you can see that when this thing goes, it goes. So even though it's overbought, that could put on, 30, 40% really quickly. But looking great. What's the last one we're going to look at here, Paul? Sid. Hope that helps, Clement. Good work, mate. It looks great. Sydney, it looks great. There's no real need to talk about the weekly too much. It's pretty clear. It's got extended to where it currently is. Price is looking a bit extended at the moment. But the good thing is it's got through that little high at 665, say 664 and a half, 665. Just pushed up through there this week, and it's probably in the last. Oh, that's not a very good little chart there, is it? It was yesterday. So it's popped up through there yesterday. So that's a potential major high low down at 580 on the weekly basis. Yeah, major high low because it's that move down. It's got lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. It's made another lower high up here. Pushed down, couldn't get through that low. Was getting held up. Popped up reacted up off that low at 575, say 580. Reacted up there. Start to push down. With this little move down, built a high low. And that took out this little minor high here, and then took out this major. It's more of a major to this leg down. So that once you get through that, the anchor level, that leg down's we're either going to go into consolidation, or we're going to go to a new move high and continue this longer term uptrend. All right, so that daily, the only thing, personally, I wouldn't buy it here. Whatever's happened fundamentally, I just wouldn't buy it here because it's overextended on the daily. The weeklies get overextended as well. So I would like to see that pull back, build a major high low, potentially down at 630 or so, and see that buyers are stepping up to the plate, and then look for my entry from there and see if they can take us up to 760 and potentially break up through 760. So second Sydney Airport at Bagleries Creek. Okay, so you just be wary if that does come out and they do get it. It might have been factored in, so it'd be interesting to see what happens. And if it comes out and it doesn't, then this thing could topple over. So just be wary of that there, Paul. It looks good. That price structure looks really nice, though. This is my only concern, is it getting extended on both those. Well, look at the monthly. That monthly there. It's sort of the reverse. That's a beautiful monthly high low here around 6, and that's just starting to cross. So on a month, if you're looking at this as just a charting, you got that move down, good extended move up. We've got a potential major high low. I think it's got a bit of more work to do, but I think longer term, I think it's going to hold above 6. I think it's got some work to do. Be nice on the weekly because it means it's going to be a nice strong move up and potentially take out those highs at 750. And on the daily, I think for me it's too extended to jump in just yet. I'd rather see a bit more action, get that higher low building, and then off we go. All right, does that make sense there, guys? How's that, Paul? Let's just see. Market's only up 10 points at the moment. It'd be interesting to see if we can hold a gain today. All right, anything else before I have to call it a day there, guys? I hope you enjoyed that. So let's see if there's any more questions just before we nick off. Finished my coffee too, so it's about time to finish, sorry. All right. All right, we'll finish it up there. It's been just over an hour now, so thank you very much for joining us. We're back on Monday. Like I said, if you did enjoy it, it'd be great if you like what you see, pass the word and just leave us a like or drop us a like at the end of the video. It'll be on YouTube. It'll pop up probably the next half an hour or so. You can always refer to it or pass on the link if you want. It'd be much appreciated. And thanks for joining us, and we'll speak to you on Monday, and have a great weekend, guys. See you then.